I'll now invite Peter Aitsi to officially close the election seminar for TIPNG.
Thank you, Ariane. Secretary, thank you for those closing remarks and also the frank sharing in terms of some of the issues that were faced by IDAC and government in the delivery of the 2022 elections. I just wanted to sort of share some words for you, but also acknowledge the support of many partners that have allowed us to have these workshops over the last 2 days. All the presenters, I want to thank you for, obviously, by your presence, signifying the importance of this workshop and, importantly, the importance of the election process to our democracy, to our society. I think also very important to know is that the real frank and genuine discussions and the open dialogue that we've had, where I think all stakeholders have admitted to the problems that we've faced and to the many challenges that the electoral process is faced with at the moment. So clearly, I think there is that genuine understanding that we have a problem and something must be done about it. So I think that's very evident in all the presentations. I think also it's important to also note that there are a lot of stakeholders involved in this process, and whether by design or by default, we find ourselves now in a situation where the system is broken and there's many more parts of the system, not just one particular aspect of it, such as the election process itself, but throughout our society there are many, many factors that are making it very difficult for us to turn this beast around. And so I think there's a lot of work that's required within the reforms to go even more broadly to that and look at the actual, how our societies, how our communities are engaging, how they're interacting, what kind of leaderships exist within these groupings of our people, and how can we support them to ensure that, in a way, integrity is restored to that process. So that's some work that goes beyond just the reforms that we do. I think the other thing I just want to also just remind us of, groups like TI, CIMC, Caritas, and the various groups that did participate in the election process, as they come through with their reforms and as we table those to the Parliamentary Committee, it's incumbent on all of us to then work very closely together so that with the committee, under their mandate, we can try and elevate some of these issues and take it to a form of some constructive reforms that the Parliament Committee can then take back into our Parliament House and seek the approval of the House to be able to implement, to be able to bring forward these reforms. It is important that we, the stakeholders, have a role in this exercise. The state is only one arm. It's represented its people. And we as community-based organisations, as church-based groups, have a critical role in engaging with this process so that through our mandate, through our representation, through our membership, through our congregations, we're able to articulate the views of our citizens through this process. And hopefully what we can then do as groups that have significant interest in this process, to be able to continue to advocate to the Parliamentary Committee, advocate to our government, and once we agree on these reforms, it's our role, in a way, to hold this process to some sort of accountability. So I see clearly that is a role for TI and the team at TI to support this process and where we can, to ensure that we arrive at a set of reforms that are firstly realistic, within our means. That's the key message that I think we need to do. We need to start to cut this up into pieces that we can manage, and our aim should be to get to 2027 and perhaps address many of the problems that we faced. So when our mothers, when our daughters, when our sisters go to vote, they do so freely, without being harassed, and they're able to exercise their right, their voice, with that level of confidence. So just those words to give us some guidance in terms of the next process. So in terms of the acknowledgements, Secretary, thank you very much. Our Secretary for Department of Prime Minister, Ivan Pamela, thank you for your presence today. I'd also like to acknowledge and the support of His Eminence Cardinal Sir John Rebart. From the government side, we had Governor Alan Bird as Chairman of the Special Parliamentary Committee. We had the PNG Electoral Commissioner join us too. Mr. Simon Sinai. With all these activities, it does need partners, and I'd also like to acknowledge our diplomatic missions, the Australian High Commission, through the representation of First Secretary Tom Buttons, our Program Manager, Leslie Posiri, our US Government Representative in the Political Officer, Kevin Furry, our New Zealand High Commissioner, His Excellency Philip Toller, was also here. New Zealand High Commission, Adam Linol, joined us, and obviously our strong supporters, the EU Deputy Head of Delegation, Dr. Jura. Thank you for your presence this afternoon. We had senior representation from government departments, so I do thank them for being interested enough and committed enough to come along to this workshop and to hear the many practitioners that are out there that have been involved in trying to support the delivery of the 2022 elections. Our development partners, our IFAS Country Director Paul Rowland, for being here for the past 2 days. Thank you, Paul. And your support to the Electoral Commission has been appreciated. World Bank, representing the World Bank, Dr. George Boppy Capera for his time as well, and Edwin Katsuva from JSS4D was also here. To our speakers, let me acknowledge Dr. Nicole Haley from the ANU, Jeremy Goro from NRI, Emmanuel Pock, our Acting Registrar for Political Parties. Neville Choi, our partner with the Media Council, thank you as President of the Media Council for your presence. Mavis Tito from Caritas, I want to acknowledge your involvement and participation in the workshop as well. Glenn Vito from the Department of Information and Communication Technology. Alice Kuguna from the PNG Electoral Commission, the Information Branch. Our Deputy CIS Commissioner, thank you, Mr. Masiri, for your presence as well and participation in the panel. Dr. Jura, I think I've acknowledged you, but thank you also for being always available to participate in these panels. And for Kathy Alex, very passionate and very strong message that you gave this afternoon in our panel, so I want to thank you for your participation. Media, thank you for your coverage of the workshop. Alus Ralai from our Highlands Regional Liaison for the Highlands, I think Alus is here. Thank you for your presence. Our TI Pacific Regional Coordinator, Lasana from Fiji, is here as well. So thank you, Lasana, for your presence. All of our online participants that are joining us today, once again, your commitment and your time given to this workshop is also a reflection of your love for our country and and wanting to contribute to that change. To our suppliers, SpiderTech, thank you for facilitating this workshop and bringing so many of our citizens and partners that couldn't be here with us today to join us, so thank you for that. My last thank you is to the staff of TIPNG under the leadership of Ariane Kasman, our CEO. Once again, you've done a fantastic job. Firstly, to participate in the elections, to observe the elections, to mobilise 340 of our observers into the field, return them safely with all their materials, compile that into a consolidated report, and then to bring it to a conclusion with the workshop that you've done. So I'd like for all of us to give them a big round of applause. Thank you. And on that note, I extend my thanks to all of you once again. God bless and keep you safe. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Peter. So for those of you that are in the room, we do have lunch, so pick up your tickets at the door. And again, to our online participants, thank you so much for joining us today. So that does bring us to the official end of this program. If you need any information about TIPNG, if you need to pick up any election reports, we also have that available at the back. And if you'd like to see any of us before leaving this afternoon, please feel free to do so. We're all wearing the same shirt today. But thank you so much to everyone.